That looks nice. Put that down there. Oh, God. So, jackhammers again. Fuck it. We're doing it live. Jackhammers or not. If I have to live with them, you have to live with them. Alright? Let's have a shitty day. You ready? And I love how they put white text on the silver face, because you can totally see it at every angle. It's great. This is the D2160. And you're going, Zeos, I know that number, 2160. What is that? That's the vertical resolution of 4K. Is this a 4K device? Nope. Someone looked up the number that everyone will like, oh, 2160, that's a good number. Let's use that one. And then put a D in front of it, and here you go. So, is this a topping? No. Is this an SMSL? No. If you read it, if you read the title of this video, which you're probably fully capable of doing, this is an FX audio. Actually, it's an NFJ and FX audio product. So it's this whole fucking giant thing. And I picked it up using the Patreon money. Thank you, patrons, for supporting this channel. And because, here's the thing, most power, optical input, remote control, headphone out with a 1/4 inch. Look at it. It's beastly. It's got these heat vents, and it's got the biggest Bluetooth antenna I've ever seen. It's just a Wi-Fi antenna that they stuck on the Bluetooth thing. How could I not? How could I not? I should have probably brought it up to look at the price, which I did not do. So let's, oh, look at that. That's the topping MX3. Let's see. D2160. How hard is this going to be to find? There it is. $280. I spent $280 on this on November the 7th. Apparently I bought that. So, shit. So here's the deal. I'm going to lose a lot of money when I sell this in the yard sale. Because it does what it says it does. Does it what it says it does. But it doesn't do it well enough that I'm going to like recommend it. Not for that price. Because this does way more than it says it does. This is the MX3. It actually does exactly the same thing, only actually a little bit more. It's got a couple more things. So, looking at the back of this unit, we've got, for some fucking reason, and I didn't go into much research on this, it has 2 power sockets. And they're not labeled separately, and it works in either one of them, so I don't know if it's a pass-through to some other stack that they're trying to put together with the combination. Don't know. 4 speaker outputs, because it's an amplifier, 110 watts a piece, right? That's the most power I've seen in a like little desktop unit. Analog input, coaxial input, optical input, USB input, Bluetooth antenna. Now, I'm not going to reference this entirely, but let's just say there's no subwoofer out on that, and there is on this. So we'll just leave that right there. So that's only 38 watts a channel, by the way, and this is 110. Just throwing those numbers out there. But I will take 38 watts of clean, good, prepared, sexual audio over 110 watts. So here's the power brick, which I think wins in the Power Brick World Series of how fucking thick, brah. 36 volts, 6 amps, and that's what you need to put out 110 watts. So now, it's got the front, which I can't read what's happening because the light's not perfect. Power, mute, and Bluetooth LEDs. 2 buttons, one's power off, and one's power on. And it says, digital. We've got a full-size 1/4 inch. Wait for the music. Wait, it's Bluetooth, and it's gotta be unpaused. Okay. I flipped the R3s upside down for this particular review, just playing with things. It's free to flip them upside down. So it's got a full-size 1/4 inch, which I'm like, oh shit. I have this thing when I see a full-size 1/4 inch, I'm imagining it's got a lot of power. It's got to have a lot of power because it's got full-size 1/4 inch, and that's just a mental thing because it doesn't actually mean anything. Here, you ready for the power spec for that 1/4 inch? Where is it? Headphone power output. You want it at 16 ohm or at 32 ohm? At 16 ohm, it's 36 milliwatts. And at 32 ohm, it's 25 milliwatts. 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 That's 500 would be half a watt. 1,000 would be a watt, which is like what the Geshelli Labs, the Magni 3, all those are over a watt. Magni 3, Liquid Spark, JDS, Atom, all those are a watt or higher in output. And that's 1,000. And this is 25. Now here's the thing though, it's lying because it does put out more power than that, for sure, because I'm pushing headphones properly with it, and you can't, that's like cigarette lighter fucking power, it's nothingness. And here's the max power output of the actual unit. There's 150 watts into 4 ohms, at 110 watts into 8 ohms, which is all I go by because most speakers are 8 ohms. And then the total harmonic distortion is 0.4, which is not great at 8 ohms. And you got all these things and stuff, and it weighs 2.3 kilograms. There's a lot of problems with this unit. One of the things that's not a problem, though, let's focus on that for a second, is the fact that it's got an LCD, it's got an OLED display. That's purple. Thank you. It's not blue, it's not red, it's not amber. I kind of like amber, but that's purple. And I love purple. Now, volume knob, turn it, it goes from 0 to 99. You got a little indicator on the bottom there showing you where you are, so 25 is a quarter. So you get a decent visualization of where you are in the range, even though it says it right there. Whatever, I'm fine with it. Shows your input, shows your kilohertz setting. If I go to select auxiliary, it obviously, for some reason, it still shows 48 kilohertz, even though it's an auxiliary port, which is RCA, which you can't possibly fucking know. Coaxial is showing 44.1, even though nothing's hooked up. Optical is showing 44.1, and that's actually hooked up, and that's showing perfect circle. USB is not hooked up, doesn't show anything. So that's, and then Bluetooth is this. Now, another thing that this little topping has, here's your remote with a little topping. You could play, pause, next track, last track, a Bluetooth device hooked up to it. Not on this remote. Instead, you have bass up, down, treble, left, right, and loudness. So you literally have to go to your device and unpause it if you want to play again. I feel like topping has been on my shit list. That topping has been on my shit list for years, and they've learned and they've progressed, and now they're here. FX Audio has only made the DAC X6. Remember the little DAC X6? I recommend it all the time. It's like the cheapest DAC and amp, and you could open it up and swap out the op amps, give it more power, you could change gain settings, more power, and it's a great little starter unit. So I like FX Audio from one unit. Now this comes around, and I'm sort of like, oh, let's see what else they got. They gotta hire more engineers, what they gotta do. So, problems. Let's start with the remote. Okay, power, mute, basic functions, bass and treble and loudness. If you don't know what loudness means when you're sitting and it's quiet and it's nighttime and you can't play your speakers loud, you put on loudness and it's supposed to do a little bit of an EQ tweak. That just makes the lows that you wouldn't normally hear because they're so quiet a little bit louder, and the treble comes up a little bit more so you can still hear dialogue. So it basically makes everything into a V curve. We're gonna get back to that and why that's important. So you get that in adjustments. You get a direct/gain mode button. You got an EQ. You get a select button. You get volume down and up and down here, which is a little weird to have it down here. I feel like they would have been beneficial to be there, and this could have been next to last track. But the corner remote's very sharp. I just realized that, like right there, that hurts a little bit. This has nice rounded edges, and that has sharp edges. Still a nice remote. It's good in the hand. Doesn't come with batteries. Got to plug it in. So we're on the Bluetooth input. I can't control the Bluetooth. I could just raise and lower the volume. So we could raise and lower the volume. And I could mute it, and we're good. When I first got the unit plugged in and turned on, something stood out to me that blew my mind. I'm like, wait, that's not how it works. Because I hit the bass and treble adjustment. And when I hit the bass and treble adjustment, which apparently that unmutes it, apparently looking at the bass and treble adjustment unmutes the fucking thing. So what I'm going to have to do is switch off this input to auxiliary. We'll use actually the auxiliary. Doesn't sound half bad. It doesn't sound half bad. Here's the problem. There was a problem and I solutioned it. Actually, there was a problem and I diagnosed it. So I did it with headphones, by the way. When you first get the unit and you first plug it in and you go to the fucking bass and treble, they're at plus 14 on both. And I'm like, wait, plus 14 is maximum, isn't it? So I lowered them to 0 because it goes plus 14 or negative 14. So I went and I zeroed it out. It makes perfect sense, right? It's what you do. You don't want your bass and treble. I want direct. In fact, this has a direct mode. If you press it, it now says hi-fi. Right? The screen will say hi-fi. If you press it again, it says tone on, which means the tone controls work. There's also EQ, which has all sorts of bullshit, and then we'll go to normal. So I want normal EQ, and I want no tone controls, and I want hi-fi mode. So there's hi-fi mode, direct. And then you play music. Music that isn't just distortion.
The most exotic flower.
I don't know, something's wrong. You know what's wrong? It comes default at plus 14 treble, plus 14 bass. And I couldn't really establish a motive for this. So I plug in the headphones, which these are the Atticus. And I'm like, all right, play me music. And then I unplug it from... Actually, I'm plugging that. I do at least say that. And I plugged it just straight into my own over here. And I went, oh, what the fuck's wrong with you? Turns out, let me get to the short end of the story. In order for this amp, either by headphone or by speaker output, to sound normal, and I'm assuming that without any fuck up is just normal, you need plus 8 bass, plus 8 treble on this unit. By default. Like on, all the time. I was wondering why plus 14 bass wasn't really killing me, because its defaults to 8 is normal, and plus 14 is just a couple steps above that. You could drop it down, negative 14, which is like 20-something decibels away. Yeah, it took a bit of me to like realize what the fuck is wrong. So that's just fatally flawed. $200 and something. I almost feel like just returning this to Amazon and not selling it in the yard sale. But it's still got good enough attributes that someone that's one of my patrons, or that will become one of my patrons after seeing this, might say, oh, I could use that and I could deal with that bullshit. So loudness does what loudness do. It puts the V shape. And plus bass and plus treble do what they do. It puts a V shape. So if you put on loudness, instead of the bass and treble adjustments, the tone controls, it still isn't right. You actually have to add still more bass and treble to get it close to normal. So then you could put plus 2, and then loudness on, and then it sort of sounds normal. And then the equalizers are just fucking weird. Country. Takes forever, by the way. Heavy rock. Light rock. Jazz. Rap. Click. Change. Normal. So those are your EQs. Aren't we excited we went through those? Great. Now select is just the input. Optical, USB, Bluetooth, auxiliary. Let's go to optical, because that's coming off there as well. Let's talk about high and low gain. So it has a high and low gain. You hold this down. So I got the headphones plugged and you hold this for 2 seconds. Hold that for 2 seconds. L gain, low gain. And low gain is not really enough to power most headphones. I had these on there, I had those, and these are the SR1 Ibassos. That I've had a couple other lighter headphones. Like the really, really light headphones, you could turn it up and it's like, okay. But then you hold it down, you put it on high gain, and it works like it's supposed to. Now here's the fucking weird part. You unplug that. You unpause it too. We're at 20. Low gain. Why is there a gain control for the speaker outputs? High gain. Because that's not how you do it. I mean, I could understand if there was like a distortion limiter and you don't want to go to high gain. You can keep it on low gain, but that's not what's happening. It's just, I don't know. It's just fucking a bad implementation. So, it's a short review. Will this power any? Look, 100. It's legit with the power. I don't want to blow the kefs up. I could blow the kefs up. I mean, they're not mine, right? Let's skip to like a really, really kicking ass part of the song. We're on high gain. We have the treble now set to 8. The bass now set to 8, which means it's correct. Loudness off. That's the way the amp has to be set to basically be direct. When you put it in hi-fi mode or direct, it sounds dull. Like literally, it's just like, where are the highs and the low end? You're almost better off just leaving loudness on, because then you just like it's it has to be 8, it has to be 6. The treble's real high. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna blow these speakers up at like 30 out of 100 on high gain. So I guess I could respect, since they're so insane. That's a lot of power, but it's got such finite control all the way to 100. So I could leave it on low gain and I could play this track again. I fucking love those jackhammers. Yeah, on low gain, I could use on a bass, 67 out of 100. I don't know. It's just this unit, I had such high hopes for it. Because I like FX audio. You all like it. No one's like, oh, that thing's so cheap and shitty. No, it's so cheap and still works, and you can mod it and it's good. This is just, there's something wrong with the make the brain go. The brain is not spinning, and it's got 6 screws here, and I could probably open up and see what's inside. Don't bother. Although it'd be nice if this worked. Great. Look, if I reviewed this before I reviewed this, we might have a different outcome. But I know how good this topping MX3 is. I know how innovative it is. I know you could change the display. I know the display is big enough to see from across a room to use in the living room. It's got a subwoofer out, even though it's just a summed output. But it wins in so many levels that it makes this fucking irrelevant for double the cost. This is double the fucking cost of that. I'd rather have one of those and have a bunch of steak dinners. That's it. Can I convince you anymore? No? Great. All right. Goodbye. Power off. Headphone output's not that clean. Speaker amps are clean enough, but you have to dick around with fucking EQ or the tone controls just to get it to sound right. It's a loser. You're a loser. I'm sorry, FX Audio. You fucking lost. This will be in a yard sale. Bid on it, whatever you think it's worth. It still can put out power, and it still has all these convenient features. It just sucks that it sucks. I'm going to sign the top. This is Zeos. I mean, this thing sucks. Fine. Wallpaper in the description. Link to my Patreon, where when the yard sale comes around, you'll be able to buy this. Also, if you get into the $10 tier, you get into a private Telegram channel for everyone who's in that tier. And basically, if you want to know anything I have currently, I just tell you what it is. So you get to talk amongst yourselves. You get to ask me questions directly on my phone. And I leak any information. Hey, Zeos, I saw you just unbox the TH900s or 909s. What do you think of them? And I just give you my opinion without waiting, without reviews. You also get to see these reviews slightly early because the new daily schedule is sort of screwing that up. Wallpaper again is in the description because she's cute. She's cute and look innocent. Said high hopes, but she's just got no vagina because she's a robot. That's it. That's enough for today. Enough of this shit. I'm gonna go take a cold shower and cry.